Welcome to Conversations with a Dog Trainer, where we explore topics related to dog behavior and dog training. If you've got a fearful, nervous, reactive dog, you're going to want to stick around because that's what we're going to cover today and how you should best approach that dog to optimize your training. I was doing a consult the other day with someone who had such a dog. And the owner, after we had had some discussion, asked me, well, you don't reward the dog in training, so then what are you doing to provide feedback to the dog? I absolutely reward the dog. I don't use food, but I absolutely reward. Now, the reason I'm making that distinction is this dog wants to feel safe. Dogs are reactive for a lot of different reasons. Some dogs are just hyper and overstimulated. Some dogs have strong instincts, such as the instinct to chase. So then the cat, the squirrel, they are reactive to that. That's one type of reactivity. There's lots of different types. In this case, we're talking about a fearful dog who's hyper vigilant in the house, out on a walk, anytime there's a disturbance in the environment, anytime someone new is not even entering her space, but from a distance, just starting to move in her direction. So I corrected the individual and said, no, I absolutely reward. But what is it you think your dog wants? What do you think she values? And the wife chimed in and said she wants to feel safe. I said, bingo. That's exactly what the dog wants. She wants to feel safe. So she's acting out in order to achieve what it is she wants to have, what she feels she needs to survive. And then when I train the dog to do the things I need her to do and show her that by doing what I need her to do, I provide that safe outcome for her. And it's a much lower tax rate for the dog to pay with me and with my system versus her system. Her system is dysfunctional. Her system costs her too much. Her adrenaline is always on high. Her mind is always ready. Her body is always ready. There's just a lot going on. So to say that the training is not rewarding simply because I'm not giving the dog food is a gross misrepresentation, not only of how I train the dog, but how the dog perceives the training. At the end of the day, we have to work with the currency that the dog values, not what we value. So my dog Hooligan is a great example of a dog that's very social, very food motivated, very toy motivated. So I have a lot of doorways open to me in training, and I can use food as a phenomenal currency. In other words, if I want to train that dog with food, I can manipulate responses and get him to tune out the environment and build and build and build up the steps on the ladder ad nauseum. With a dog that is purely survival driven and fearful to the extent that this dog is, that's not going to do it. So what I was explaining to them is, understand what the dog wants out of our bargain, and then show her that you provide that to the dog. I've had people come to me in consultations with dogs that have been through multiple trainers. I had someone come to me last summer where they had 3 different pouches full of treats for the dog around their waist. So they had the freeze-dried liver, and the chicken, and the sliced up hot dogs. And so it was like lowish, mediumish, high value. And so the last trainer was telling them, for this, you use this, for this, you use that, for this, you use that. The dog's afraid of people. I wasn't out of the front door of the kennel to meet them in the parking lot. They were maybe 100 feet away, where the owner was grabbing at different rewards, waving them in front of the dog, and the dog is just going around her. She looked like a soccer goalie, just trying to block the dog, and it was not working. And the food was just ignored. I mean, she may as well have dumped everything on the ground. The dog just would have walked over it or ran around it to try and charge me and bark at me. Why? Because I'm more meaningful in the moment. I'm perceived as a threat. This is a dog that's, for better or worse, wired to see a stranger as a threat. And so all the food in the world is not going to make that dog ignore a threat. And if you want to understand this on a human level, and I was explaining this to the clients earlier this week with the dog I was just referring to. If you've ever been in fear for your safety, in fear for your life, you'll understand how food is not really motivational. It's not a focal point in that moment. I'll give you a personal example. I'm a cyclist, and a couple of years ago I was doing one of my local routes, and I live out in the sticks. And I'm cycling along this small town, no traffic. A pickup truck cuts me off. So I just go around him and I keep going on about my ride. And it happens a couple of more times, and now I realize I'm being messed with. And I was gonna stop at a local convenience store and get some water, but now I don't want water. Now I just want to keep going and distance myself from this individual, and I'm riding my bike on a sidewalk. And I feel like a little kid. I'm in my 50s. I'm riding a bike on a sidewalk because I'm scared. And I keep going down the road, and now the pickup truck speeds up, passes me, and I think, thank God I'm done with this and I can just get on with my ride. The driver parks further down the road. I didn't know this yet. And as I'm coming down the road, he's now standing in the middle of the road, waiting for me. And I can't believe what I'm seeing. But it makes no sense for me to turn around and go away, because I'm on these open farm roads, and he's just going to get in his vehicle and come chasing me. It's not like I'm in city traffic where I could be slippery and get in and out of cars where he couldn't follow me. So I keep going because I know there's a police station down the road. I get to the police station, and I go to open the door, and the door is locked. It's a small town. There's only 2 cops, and they're on the road. And I guess when they're on the road, the door is locked. I didn't know this. He knew this evidently because he lives there. So he follows me into the police station. He's an older man. He's in his 80s. And I haven't looked at him. I haven't flipped him the bird. I haven't interacted with him on any level. He's mad at me for whatever reason he's created in his mind. I have no idea what's going on other than the fact that I know I'm in danger. I had a GoPro on my bike, and he ended up getting arrested after I submitted the footage to the cops because he was just unhinged. There's no other way to explain it. He lost his license for several months. He was ordered to undergo anger management courses, which I don't know what that does for an 81-year-old person, but in any event, that was part of the judgment. There were 2 very kind people that were in a Dairy Queen across the street from the police station. They came running over, yelling at the guy because he's getting in my face. And he's yelling at me, and I'm still on my bike. I haven't even gotten off my bike yet. I'm not a fighter. I'm not a tough guy. And I'm looking at this older guy, and I'm pretty sure I could take him, but I just want to ride a bicycle. So just like that fearful reactive dog, I just want to survive this and move past this. And what I'm doing is I'm using the power of avoidance, hopefully, although it's not working for me. The power of negotiation. You could hear me multiple times in the video. Please, sir, just leave me alone. Please, sir, just go home. Please, sir, please, sir. There's how many please, sirs I said, I don't even know. There was never any F you so-and-so, whatever. I was trying to de-escalate. The whole point as it relates to food, at the end of all this, these very kind people that came running over from Dairy Queen, they gave me their information, said, if you need witnesses, here's our info. And we're across the street in Dairy Queen. When we saw this, we're going back. Why don't you come, sit down, relax a little bit. We'll buy you an ice cream. I mean, it's a very kind gesture. They're strangers. As much as I appreciated it, I don't want ice cream in the moment. I just want to get home. And now I have to cycle 65K back home. And while I'm riding back home, every time I hear a car in the distance, and I have a rear light on my bike that has a radar on it that detects vehicles from about 120 meters out, and it will beep when there's a car coming and then signal to me on my Garmin, which is on the front of my bike, on my handlebars, and there'll be a dot tracking the movement of the car. And because I ride on open roads, open farm roads where it's not heavily trafficked, it's very useful to have that because I can go miles and miles without any vehicular traffic. I may see as many tractors as I do cars on a ride sometimes. So the whole ride back, I'm not thinking about what I'm going to have for dinner. I'm not thinking about my next ride. I'm not thinking about all these other pleasantries. I'm just thinking about getting home. I'm just thinking about getting off the bike and just decompressing. Every time I could hear a car, every time my Garmin beeped, you better believe I'm looking over my shoulder to see if it wasn't that guy. And if it was a vehicle that even remotely resembled, even if it was the wrong color, I'm still doing double takes. That's what happens when you're survival minded. I hope you remember this because it's really relevant. When a dog is in fear for its safety, it doesn't matter if it makes sense to us. A lot of times people will keep hitting me with, but why does he? But how come she? There's no why and how come, it just is. That's how the dog sees it. And so then you want the dog to just pretend like nothing's going on. Here, take this treat. It doesn't work like that. So I took this dog that is dog reactive, human reactive, lunged and barked at people around us. They didn't want to be near me initially, was just barking and pleading with its owners, please save me, even though I took the dog maybe 4 feet away from them. It depends on I carefully instructed the owners to ignore the dog. And sure enough, over time, the dog settled down by my feet, lay down by my feet, and was much more comfortable. And I didn't use any food to achieve that. Now, the dog is far from trained. We haven't trained the dog. That's just a consultation. But it shows how the dog would track if things were done right. It shows an adaptability in the dog. So if you want to understand how things work with a survival-minded dog, with a dog that really is reactive based on fear and perceives threats where they don't exist, and why the food isn't working, now maybe you'll have some more insight and understand that what your dog really wants is to feel safe. So your training should work in a way, should function in a way that shows the dog that by doing this for me, it provides that safe outcome for you that you're looking to achieve. Hope that makes sense. If you have any questions, leave them down below. I'd be happy to discuss it.